Dubai, the city of life. A city that did the impossible by drawing on water and touching the sky. It did all of that by moving forward but never failing to look at the past and its roots. Welcome to the city of life, home to the entire world, and it also happened to be my home. Hello and marhaba everyone, I'm Yousuf. This story is going to be about myself, but mainly about the workplace. You see, in the course of my career, I had my fair share of ups and downs, and I have jumped from one organisation to another for around 3 times in fact. So I decided to share my experiences with you, based on the inspiration of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Vice President and Prime Minister of the UAE, ruler of Dubai, when he said that the shortest way to success is through knowledge and learning from other people's mistakes and experiences.
Hi, I'm Abdallah. I'm Yousuf's friend. I'm currently doing my MBA and studying organizational behavior. Today, I will be looking at Yousuf's case from the academic part that I have been studying. We will also hear from experts in the field such as Ministry of Happiness.
The story I'm about to tell you is an actual story in my case. Therefore, for privacy reasons, the identities of people and organisations will not be revealed in this video. So the whole thing started with me graduating from university, just like any other fresh graduate out there. So let's have a look at what happened to the first organisation. Let's have a look at the case in a more visual way. So the first organisation that I actually started working for, let's call it Organisation X, was a quite well-renowned organisation. So I actually started working as a fresh graduate in the internal audit department of that organisation. The organisation structure in the internal audit department in that company was actually non-standard. In fact, we were all reporting directly to the SVP. It was more of a pool concept, you see. Work tasks were actually assigned by the SVP based on preference as well as seniority of the employees in the internal audit department. Although I was a junior employee at the time, I was able to demonstrate my hard work amongst my peers as well as other employees in the organisation. Socialisation and networking wasn't mainly an issue for me. In fact, I quite enjoyed it. The main issue for me in the organisation was, however, the SVP and his autocratic style of management. The thing was, the entire organisation knew about his style of management, but nothing was to be done because he was actually going by the book. For example, he didn't like the fact that we were socialising with other people in the organisation, although we were doing it in our own time. Or the fact that we couldn't learn much from the job because he wanted things to be done his way.
Hi, it's me, Abdallah again. Based on Yusuf's case and by looking at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we can tell that Yusuf is lacking on the esteem and self-actualization levels. This is because he has all the basic needs starting from the physiological needs such as comfortable working condition, reasonable working hours, and the necessary breaks to use the bathroom, eat, and drink. Secondly, the safety needs are met such as the fact that he is a full-time UAE national employee and his job safety is governed and protected by the government laws. And lastly, the belonging needs are satisfied by his love of his workplace, responsibilities, and the mutual understanding of the co-workers. On the other hand, his esteem needs are not being met due to the fact that he is not feeling valued by his manager, and his self-esteem level, which is also low because of the current conditions and inability to justify his own value. And finally, since Yusuf is a goal-oriented person, his self-actualization needs are not met simply because he is unable to reach to where he is always wanted to be and achieve his career goals.
I would advise that employee would persevere more, because the value of perseverance and the behavior of perseverance leads to more happiness and a higher quality of work environment. So in terms of persistence, whether your manager was letting you down or not being trustworthy, would have also had the same output in the end. But that employee decided to leave their work environment for a substitutive work environment, which is also a good decision. Sometimes you need to explore your options, which is also healthy. But nevertheless, perseverance has worked with many well-known personalities around the world. You've got personalities that succeeded by trying not 10 times, but maybe 50 times or 100 times in order to achieve their goal within that work environment. In terms of not setting positive expectations for employees in company X, it's always healthier to adopt a policy that would be very transparent for the employers and the employee himself. So setting a long-term and short-term career progression plan for that employee, whether they achieve it or not, is essential for a happier and more well-off work environment.
After the issues that I faced in the previous organisation, I decided to move to another one. Let's call it Organisation Y. This organisation, however, is not as renowned as the previous one. And the first reaction from the organisation was a cultural shock to me. Things are done a bit differently over there. For example, the organisational chart is more hierarchical. And I had a proper line manager who was reporting to the SVP. However, the organisation had some issues, major ones in fact. For example, employees in the organisation seemed to be having their own views on how to run the organisation. And because of the bad financial conditions, people got replaced so many times. In fact, throughout the 3 years that I spent at the company, I had 6 managers. Therefore, I decided to actually approach HR to seek another opportunity. However, they didn't seem to be much concerned about my progression plan nor my career path. And normally, I would also be looking outside the organisation for a better opportunity. But at the time, I couldn't find any.
What should an employee do when happiness guidance is absent in a workplace? And what's the role of the ministry in this case?
So basically, what our office or the National Program for Happiness and Wellbeing does, in March we created Happiness and Wellbeing Workplace Manual for all federal entities, as well as for the private sector as well. So this manual acts as a guide for the organization and for the employees within that organization. Now, we do understand that some organizations might not adopt that manual and probably just keep it on the shelf. So in those terms, what the employee can do is take that manual, understand the manual, and learn how he or she can focus on themselves to make their own environment much happier and more positive to work in. There's a lot that your line manager or your organization can do, but there's a lot that you can do as well for yourself in order to make yourself happier, regardless of your current situation at work or within that ecosystem or environment.
I was able to finally find another job after that, based on the connections that I formed in Organisation X. I got into an organisation that was well renowned as well. Let's call this one Organisation Z. In this organisation, I was given a more empowering role, a manager in the Risk and Compliance department. I had a team of 2 people who were reporting directly to me, and I reported to my senior manager, who then reported to the SVP. Unlike the previous cases, this organisation seems to be healthier and people are moving in the same direction. And on a more personal note, I decided to actually change the way I do things as well. Starting with my own emotional intelligence and the way I treat people in the organisation, and more importantly, the way I treat my own team. I always wanted them to feel like that they had a role to play in the organisation, and feel as empowered as I am. This for me created a more happier environment and more stable state of mind.
What are the factors that organizations should have to achieve your goal for employee happiness?
So in terms to achieve employee happiness, first of all, the leadership should adopt the factors that would lead to happiness and well-being within that organization. So role modeling is very important because if the leadership does not adopt those modes, it will not replicate within the ecosystem or hierarchy in that organization. And second of all is to focus on instilling purpose within the organization. So for an employee to know what sort of purpose they have and what sort of meaning they're creating, whether it's for society or for themselves, is very important to achieve their personal and professional happiness. As well as building relationships within the work environment. So a lot of managers and previously used to separate between work and personal life, and they would tell you, no, work is work, don't create friends or relationships at work. But the science of happiness and well-being in the workplace begs to differ. So creating those relationships at work actually make a healthier and more productive ecosystem within the work environment.